Have you ever had that feeling, you want to make a really big change in your life, maybe get super fit or build that business or finally learn that skill you've been thinking about. You see this grand transformation in your head, but then, well, it feels like you're just spinning your wheels.
Hmm.
Or any progress is just painfully slow. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What if the real key to massive success wasn't these huge dramatic actions, but actually something tiny, almost too small to notice?
Yeah, it's a classic human thing, isn't it? We tend to focus on those big defining moments, the massive decision or the sudden breakthrough, and we totally underestimate the quiet power of just making small improvements day in, day out. So today, that's exactly what we're diving into, how these tiny changes lead to remarkable results. Really digging into James Clear's fantastic book, Atomic Habits.
Right. And our mission for you, listening right now, is to really unpack this surprising power of what Clear calls atomic habits. We're going to explore how these actions, which seem so small on their own, can actually stack up and compound over time into something truly huge. And I think this is key. We're going to shift our focus away from just obsessing over goals and more towards building effective, sustainable systems. This is basically your shortcut to understanding how lasting change really works. And to really bring this home, let's kick off with this amazing story.
Yeah.
It's about British cycling. For like almost a century, think 1908 all the way to 2003, they were, well, frankly, not great. Just one Olympic gold medal in all that time. And get this, in 110 years, zero Tour de France wins for a British cyclist. It was so bad that a top bike manufacturer actually refused to sell them bikes.
Yeah, they were worried it would hurt their brand if other pros saw the Brits using their equipment. Talk about a low point. But then, in 2003, they brought in a new performance director, Dave Brailsford. And his strategy, it was pretty radical. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains.
Marginal gains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does that actually mean?
The core idea was surprisingly simple. He thought, okay, let's break down everything involved in riding a bike, every single tiny component, every action the rider takes, and then let's just try to improve each little piece by just 1%. His bet was that all those tiny improvements would add up to something significant.
1%. It sounds so small.
Yeah.
But what did they actually do?
Well, they started with the kind of things you might expect. Redesigning bike seats to be more comfortable, rubbing alcohol on the tires for better grip, little technical tweaks. They had riders wear these electrically heated shorts to keep muscle temperature just right, use biofeedback sensors during training. They even went into wind tunnels to test fabrics and ended up having outdoor riders use indoor racing suits because they were lighter and more aerodynamic.
Okay, that's pretty detailed.
Oh, but they went way beyond that. This is where it gets fascinating. They tested different massage gels to see which ones led to faster muscle recovery. They actually hired a surgeon.
A surgeon.
Yeah. To teach the team the best way to wash their hands to cut down on colds and infections. They figured out the absolute best pillow and mattress combo for each individual rider to maximize sleep quality. And my favorite one, they painted the inside of the team truck white.
White. Why white?
So they could spot tiny specks of dust more easily, dust that might get into the bike mechanics and degrade performance, even slightly. They obsessed over every single detail.
Wow. That is thorough. So all these tiny, like 1% tweaks. Did it work?
Did it work? It was unbelievable. Just 5 years after Brailsford started at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, British cycling absolutely dominated. They took home 60% of the gold medals available in cycling, 60%. 4 years later, London, 2012, 9 Olympic records, 7 world records, and the Tour de France. Bradley Wiggins became the first Brit ever to win it in 2012. Then Chris Froome won it 4 more times in the next 5 years. Between 2007 and 2017, we're talking 178 world championships, 66 Olympic or Paralympic golds. It's just staggering.
From basically zero to total dominance, all based on these tiny shifts. So the big question then is, what does this mean for us? For you listening, how can we take this idea and actually use it in our own lives?
Oh, this really gets to the heart of atomic habits. Clear puts it perfectly. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Think about it like investing money. Small, regular contributions, even if they seem tiny at the time, they multiply over months and years. Your daily actions work the same way. What feels insignificant today can build into something massive down the road.
The math behind it is pretty wild when you lay it out. If you get just 1% better each day for a year, you end up nearly 37 times better. 37 times. But flip that coin, if you get 1% worse each day, you slide almost all the way down to zero. It really highlights the huge long-term impact of those small, everyday choices.
But here's the challenge, right? It's hard to feel that compounding effect day to day. We often dismiss small changes because the payoff isn't immediate. You save a bit of money today, you're not suddenly rich. You go to the gym a few times, you don't instantly look like a fitness model. You study Spanish for an hour, you're not fluent overnight. And because we don't see those big, quick results, it's easy to think, this isn't working, and give up. Or, on the flip side, it's easy to let bad habits slide one unhealthy meal, skipping one workout, procrastinating just this once. It doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love the analogy Clear uses about the airplane. Imagine a plane flying from LA to New York. If the pilot adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, right at the start, a tiny, almost invisible change, you won't end up in New York. You'll land hundreds of miles off course, maybe in Washington, D.C. That tiny shift at takeoff gets magnified hugely over the distance.
Exactly. And that's a perfect metaphor for our lives. Your outcomes, where you end up, are really just a lagging measure of your habits, your current net worth. That's a reflection of your financial habits over time. Your weight reflects your eating habits. Your knowledge reflects your learning habits. Even the clutter in your house reflects your tidying habits. It boils down to this: you get what you repeat.
You get what you repeat. That's powerful. It really drives home that time magnifies the margin between success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
Good habits make time work for you, building momentum. Bad habits make time your enemy, slowly pulling you down. It really is a double-edged sword.
And you see this positive and negative compounding everywhere. Think about productivity. Just doing one extra small task each day, it adds up. Plus, as tasks become habits, they take less mental energy. Knowledge is another big one. Like Warren Buffett talks about compound interest with money. Knowledge compounds too. Each book you read doesn't just teach you facts. It opens up new ways of thinking, connects ideas, even relationships compound. Being consistently helpful or kind, even in small ways, builds incredibly strong bonds over time.
But it works the other way too, right? The negative side.
Absolutely. Think about stress. Little daily stresses, traffic, money worries, work pressure, maybe slightly high blood pressure. They seem manageable individually, but compounded over years, they can lead to serious health problems. Negative thoughts are the same. Constantly telling yourself you're not good enough can trap you in this awful downward spiral. Even things like societal outrage can compound. Small frustrations, microaggressions build up day after day until one final event triggers a massive reaction.
Okay, so we get the idea of compounding, but you mentioned earlier it doesn't always feel like we're making progress, especially at the start.
Right, and this is where many people stumble. Clear calls it the plateau of latent potential. We hit this valley of disappointment. We expect progress to be nice and linear, put in effort, see results immediately. But reality is often different. Results are often delayed. You might be working really hard, going to the gym, studying, practicing, but not seeing much outward change for weeks, maybe months. And that's when it's tempting to say, this isn't worth it, and quit.
So what's happening during that plateau? Is the effort wasted?
Not at all. Think about an ice cube in a room that's slowly warming up. Let's say it starts at 25 degrees. It goes up to 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. And the ice cube is still just sitting there, solid ice. Nothing looks like it's happening. But then the temperature hits 32 degrees, and boom, it starts to melt. That 1 degree shift unlocks this massive change. All the energy put in from 25 to 31 degrees wasn't wasted. It was being stored. It was building up that potential. That's why those overnight successes are usually anything but. They're the result of all that stored effort finally breaking through the plateau. So if you feel stuck, remember that ice cube. Your work is counting. It's just storing energy for the breakthrough. Keep going.
That's a great visual. It reminds me of that stonecutter analogy, too. I think the San Antonio Spurs use it. A stonecutter hammers away at a huge rock maybe 100 times, and nothing happens, not a crack. Then on the 101st hit, the rock splits right in two. It wasn't that last hit alone that did it. It was all the hits that came before. Mastery takes patience.
Exactly. Patience and persistence through that plateau.
Okay, so we understand the power of small habits and compounding. Yeah. Now let's talk about goals. Because, conventional wisdom hammers goals into us. Smart goals, big, hairy, audacious goals. But atomic habits suggests maybe focusing too much on the goal isn't the best approach.
This is a really critical distinction Clear makes, drawing on insights from people like Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy. He separates goals from systems. Goals are about the results you want to achieve, win the championship, lose 20 pounds, write a novel. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. The daily practice routine, the meal prepping habit, the writing schedule.
Can you give some more examples? Like, how's that play out?
Sure, if you're a coach, your goal might be to win the championship. But your system is how you recruit players, how you manage your assistant coaches, how you run practices every single day. If you're an entrepreneur, the goal is maybe $1 million business. The system is how you test product ideas, how you hire people, how you run your marketing campaigns. Musician wants to play a complex piece. That's the goal. The system is how often they practice, how they break down the difficult parts, how they get feedback.
Okay, I see the difference. System is the how, goal is the what.
Precisely. And here's the really interesting part. Clear argues that if you just focused on improving your system day in and day out and kind of ignored the goal, you'd probably still end up achieving great results. Like the famous football coach Bill Walsh said, the score takes care of itself. Focus on executing the process perfectly. Goals give you direction, sure, but it's the system that actually drives your progress.
So what's wrong with being super goal-focused then? What are the downsides?
Well, Clear outlines 4 main problems with a goals-first approach. Problem number 1. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Think about the Olympics. Every athlete there wants the gold medal. Every single one. Or everyone applying for a job wants to get hired. The goal itself doesn't separate the winners. What separates them is the system they used to prepare. Remember, British cycling, they always wanted to win, but only achieved it when they built that incredible system of marginal gains.
Right. The system makes the difference, not just wanting it. Okay, what's problem 2?
Problem number 2. Achieving a goal is often just a momentary change. Think about having a messy room. Your goal is to clean it. So you muster the energy, you tidy up, and for a moment, success. Clean room. But if you haven't changed the underlying habits, the system that led to the mess in the first place, maybe always tossing clothes on the chair, never putting things away immediately, guess what? The mess comes back. Cleaning the room was just treating a symptom. Lasting change comes from fixing the system.
Ah, the classic treat the cause, not the symptom idea. Okay, number 3.
Problem 3. Goals can restrict your happiness. There's this implicit idea. Once I achieve goal X, then I'll be happy. This sets up this constant deferral of satisfaction. You're always chasing the next milestone to feel good. It also creates this kind of either-or pressure. Either I succeed and I'm happy, or I fail and I'm miserable. But if you focus on the system, you can derive satisfaction from the process itself. You fall in love with doing the work. You can feel good anytime your system is running, not just when you hit some arbitrary target.
That feels healthier mentally, less pressure. And the last one, problem 4.
Problem 4. Goals can be at odds with long-term progress. What happens after you achieve the goal? Think about someone training for a marathon. They work incredibly hard for months. Then they cross the finish line. And often they just stop training. Why? Because the goal that was driving them is gone. That's the yo-yo effect. If all your effort is tied to one specific outcome, there's nothing to keep you going afterward. Clear puts it this way. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. It's about sustainable, continuous improvement, not just one-off wins.
So it really shifts the perspective. If you're finding it hard to change your habits, maybe the issue isn't your willpower or motivation. Maybe the problem is your system.
That's the core message. It's incredibly empowering, actually. It takes the blame off you and puts the focus on designing better processes. As Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
Okay, that line hits hard. You fall to the level of your systems. So let's define it clearly then. We've used the term atomic habits a lot. What exactly does atomic signify here?
It's a great question because atomic works on a couple of levels, which is quite clever. First, yes, it means tiny, like an atom, a marginal gain, a 1% improvement, like those small changes the British cycling team made. But it also relates to atoms being the fundamental building blocks of larger things, like molecules. So atomic habits are the small fundamental units that build up into remarkable results. And third, atomic can also mean a source of immense energy and power. So an atomic habit is both small and easy to do, but it's also mighty. It's a component in this larger system of compound growth, and it holds incredible power when repeated consistently.
Small but mighty. The building blocks of big results. I like that. So wrapping up our deep dive today, the big takeaways really seem to be: embrace the power of tiny, consistent improvements. Understand that results compound over time, even when you can't see it immediately. And maybe most importantly, shift your focus from just chasing goals to designing and implementing effective systems.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. All big things really do come from small beginnings. Every single habit you have, good or bad, started with one tiny decision at some point. Trying to break a bad habit can feel like this epic struggle, like trying to rip a giant oak tree out by the roots. But building a good habit, that's more like tending to a delicate flower. It requires small, consistent, gentle attention day after day. The power is in that consistency, not brute force.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. So the question for you listening is, what small, truly atomic decision could you make today? Something tiny that if you repeat it, could compound into something remarkable in your own life down the line. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.